Welcome to the Weird Rap Discussion Gang. We got a special guest, David Liebe Hart. You may know him from Adult Swim, Tim and Eric, and his public access show, the Junior Christian Teaching Bible Lesson Program. He's here. I know you don't even like rap music, David, but you wanted to be on the show, so I'm happy to have you. It's an honor. And as usual, we got Chief in the Doomsday Device and Beverly Fresh. And this week, we're doing something a little different. We asked for submissions from our listeners, from our audience. We got a bunch of submissions, and I'm sorry we're not going to cover most of them, but we whittled them down.
You could do a part two for next week.
Good idea. We might do a part two at some point. And there's a couple that we left out also because we're planning to do like complete episodes probably on some artists like De La Soul and Gravediggaz, for example. But yeah, here we go. We're going to start it off with a song called Foreclosure by Tim Fite, and this is a live version.
This one's for closure. This is my house, cat to door, front yard to the backyard. I hammered these motherfucking nails with a hammer that I bought my goddamn self. And now you tell me that my bills are late and that you got the right to confiscate. Shaking me down for my tears and sweat, breaking my heart for a bassinet. This one's for closure, for closure. This one's for closure, for closure. This one's for closure.
Yeah, so this guy, Tim Fite, I just heard about him. Whoever recommended this track, thank you, because I just got into this guy's catalog, and I'm a new fan for sure. He's got a real range of different stuff. He was doing some like a lot of country music for a while, and then
I used to do country music, and you and I recorded a country western song together, Chicago Northwestern and Perennial Honk.
Yeah, you've done some beautiful
country
music.
Western songs I did. And a long time ago, blacks were the first to do country music back in the South. People don't know that.
Right.
And sad Charlie Pride died. He was one of the best country Western African-American musicians.
Yeah. So I was researching this guy, Tim Fite, and it turns out that he was in this group called Little T and One Track Mike that had this a hit on MTV, a minor hit called Shaniqua in the early 2000s. Which I had not been aware of at the time, but someone recently posted that, I think, in the Facebook group. And yeah, later on, he went on to release like some like country albums, and then he's been doing these self-released rap and like fusion, like eclectic fusions of different kind of music. But some of it I really like a lot.
So Jonah, tell them that we did a rap and country song on Space Ranger called I Am a Space Ranger. That's a mix of rap and country western.
Yes, we did a song with Kool Keith.
The galaxy is my supplier. Space cadet, I'm hired for triumph. Brilliant science. Robot reclining, joining forces with your alliance.
I am a space cowboy. I am a space ranger.
Cowboy.
I protect the galaxy from danger.
Yes.
A very
Yes,
good
we
song.
did.
Space Ranger. So yeah, I just thought this guy was awesome, and I thought it was a great live performance too. So that's why I thought it'd be a good song to showcase.
I love his song. I can relate to his song. I got cheated out of my mother's home in Park Forest, Illinois. And then I took care of my cousin Phyllis McKinnon, who was a retired Army officer. I got cheated out of my inheritance again, and I was paying the utilities and the plumbing. So I could relate to that song. And I feel it's creative, and I feel it's outstanding. The only thing I'd like him to do a version that doesn't have any swear words. He's a super talented, creative person, and I take my hat down to him. He's got a good happening. I like.
I'm curious though if you think that like his cussing that he's doing isn't necessarily gratuitous, but it's more trying to like voice the frustration that he
I
feels.
understand. We blacks go through a lot of frustration, and I understand. My dad was a civil rights leader with Dr. Martin Luther King, and you wouldn't believe the drama I saw that happened. We went through in Cicero. We were marching in Cicero for equality. We came back, and the police broke all the windows out of our car, and a lot of us got arrested for voicing our truth. So I understand the frustration. You're speaking to the choir. I've seen a lot of injustice that needs healing in our American society.
I definitely believe it. I'm too young to have been through that era, but I've got family that went through that as well. So I totally understand,
Yeah, Tim Fite was a new one to me. I didn't know about his stuff, and I didn't know what to think about it when I first turned it on, and I was blown away. I thought it was really strong lyrics, good delivery, good performance. I like the foreclosure, like play on words. I was really good, and I think he does a good job of like, with the roots of like blues or folk, like keeping it kind of utilitarian and it's like in its vocabulary. It's like, nothing pretentious or abstract. It's like very simple words, but used in a very powerful combination, and gets at the complexity of like everyday language. And I like the bit at the end too, just in terms of like a performance where they kind of pull back the curtain and they like talk about like, is this from his perspective or is he writing it from another person's point of view? Has he been through these things? And I like that kind of honest reveal at the end. And then also like he switches back to his normal talking voice, which is quite a bit different than his delivery. So yeah, I thought it was a great piece.
Yeah, I definitely did.
Go ahead.
Oh,
I just want to compliment on him. He did a great delivery. He's a talented songwriter, and he's got a lot on the ball. And I want to add that as well.
Yes, I can second and third that. And I was going to bring that up earlier about that little bit at the end where he talks about this not necessarily being an autobiographical song, but he's like, I write this from what I feel from those people that have gone through the experience, and he makes it super visceral just from that secondhand experience. You really get that like a man at the end of his rope feel from both the performance and the lyrics. So yeah, definitely one of the best discoveries of this group here for me as well.
Yeah, and throughout his catalog, he's got a lot of anti-consumerist, anti-capitalism sort of themes running through it. I think his latest album was called Resist, which is all about, which actually like a post-punk fusion kind of album, but that one's all about like police violence and systemic racism, and he's got a lot of good sort of leftist themes running through his stuff. So I highly recommend him. He's really like, as far as the whole anti-capitalist theme, he kind of stays true to that, as far as like you can hear all his music for free on his website, timfite.com, timfite.com. And next up we got another one that I was really happy to be made aware of, because I don't know if I would have ever heard of this otherwise, but this is the Knieght Rieduz. The song's called Knieght Rieduz Are Here.
Hate you feel it, dipping that drop and getting cold. I don't see room when the mo goes slow, flow when they go down. Is it magic? No, it's murder, they don't know. There were fires for life, we keep fighting.
You're taking chances when you're on a phony. I got something waiting in the good grill. Wipe that smile off your face when you see it riding to the kill.
Yeah, so the backstory on this is really interesting, I thought. Apparently, this is Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs, his group. It consists of him and 3 others. There was the female in the group was continually kept quitting, so I think it was actually 4 different artists throughout the group's life, and it also consisted of, let's see, Sin of Graveyard Shift and Mo Hart of Poetic Hustlers, and the three females were Felicia, Jazz, and Larice. Oh, four of them, and Thug Queen. They all kept quitting for some reason or another. And actually, yeah, Sin quit the group too, because apparently it was just wrought with drama. But the story goes that the contract under Ruthless Records didn't allow the members of Bone Thugs to do much of anything aside from their contractually agreed to official albums through them. So the idea was to dress up and disguise the voices so that Crazy could do this album. And you know, I'm a big fan of voice effects in rap, and it's just a bizarre concept too. They're apparently supposed to be like these vampire pirates or something, vampirates, if you will. And there's a little footage online that you could see of one of their rare live shows where Crazy is dressed up in face paint and this like billowing fancy conquistador captain's outfit complete with like the feather and the cap, and he's just like frolicking around on stage, like dancing all fancy, almost like a ballerina or something. It's like very, very ridiculous and theatrical. But you know, this whole album, I feel like it's really colorful and interesting and strange. So yeah, it's up my alley. It's definitely not for everyone, but it has found a little bit of a cult following online, from what I understand. The CD goes for like $500 if you can find a copy of it. But yeah,
well,
this is.
I really like it. I like the rap music that's mellow, that doesn't have a lot of 4-letter words. I like it. I think it's cool, and I hope he finds a better record company that will record him and respect him and let him do whatever he wants. He's super talented. I liked it. I liked that last song I heard. It was right on.
Cool.
I dug that sample of Teardrop by Massive Attack that they used. I don't know if anybody else caught that.
I didn't catch that, but yeah.
Yeah, they used it like in a real similar way that they use on Teardrop as well, like to do the build up into their version of the dramatic stuff. I had no idea they were as dramatic as you broke down though. So I'm enjoying learning a lot more about these songs and groups other than just hearing the songs. This one also sounded like Themselves a whole lot more than the Themselves song that we're going to hear in a little bit.
Yeah. I've always thought there was a comparison to Dose One and Bone Thugs, Busy and Crazy especially.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good find. I didn't know about this at all. And yeah, I'm totally intrigued. I like this track. The weird vocal layering is pretty amazing. Yeah, it makes me, like, hearing that backstory makes me think, like, if it's true or not. Like, if either way, it's kind of absurd. Like, if they really needed to disguise themselves, like, this was a solution. Like, the vampirates and the ballerina dance and like this double vocal, like it's just like doesn't seem like a logical jump. Or if they had this idea, it was like, oh, we're gonna do this vampirates thing, but we need an excuse. Like, why did we get here? So we're gonna make up this thing about the contract. I think it's both pretty like insane and brilliant either way.
Agreed. All right, next up we got K-Rino, Grand Deception.
With the Roman numerals that equal 1776, the United States of America exists in a deep devilish abyss with truth and paganism mixed. Every president that ever lived was foul. They gather at Bohemian Grove where they bow down before the owl. See, the owl is wise and sees through the darkness of night. And there's a small one on the dollar near the one on the top right. It ain't hard to understand this government was never for us. The eagle was based off of the Egyptian hawk Horus.
I was thinking I like the idea of like of Alex Jones rolling around bumping this in his car. But yeah, I also like how he raps for like 4 minutes straight with no breaks, no choruses, and then the beat stops and he just keeps rapping for another like 30 seconds. It's pretty great.
I enjoyed his music. It was very creative. Had a fresh taste to it. It's opened my horizon to see there's a lot of creativity and talent in rap music. And I hope someday I can do a rap album with you, Jonah, expressing the feelings of the anti-racism and anti-capitalism that have made our society bad. I like what it talked about, the corruption, what happened in 1776. Unfortunately, the land was taken over by white people from the American Indians, which wasn't fair. And so I like what he brought out about our past history. And history teaches us to make things better than what they were before.
Well said.
Yeah, 100. This particular song is right up my alley with the conspiracy rap stuff. Like, this is what I listened to back in high school. It reminds me of songs like Cell Therapy or like Nature of the Threat, you know? And it's songs like this that kind of taught me more about history, and then just other practices than anything I really learned in school. So rap like this has been very illuminating for me overall. Plus props to it being from Houston as well.
Yeah, I always really liked K-Rino's voice and delivery. It seems like it just like when he comes in, if he's in a guest on a track, it's just like has total command and attention. And I think that definitely goes in line with like his being this source of like an alternative education. There's a certain authority in his voice.
Yeah, I'd never heard K-Rino before this, but yeah, I like the track. For me, like, I always feel a little, I mean, I used to be all about the whole Illuminati conspiracies and stuff, and part of me just feels like at this point, like, anyone who's speaking so authoritatively on it, like, I gotta, like, take them with, like, a little bit of a grain of salt, because I feel like unless you're in the inner circles, like, you can't know that shit. It's just like you read Behold a Pale Horse and take it all as gospel truth. And I don't know, you never know.
Well, I come from a family of Masons. My Uncle Danny Gordon, that just died, was a Mason. My great-great-great-grandfather started the first Black Mason Shriners. Blacks are all Shriner Masons back in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And they do a lot of good to help kids that can't afford to go to a hospital. They are very powerful. People don't know how powerful they are. Many managers and high up position people are all Masons, and they're very powerful, more powerful than people think they are.
Shout out to the Illuminati if you're listening. I hope you're not. Next up, we got Ahmad. I believe it's considered an Ahmad track featuring Saafir and Kass. Come Widdit. It originally came out on the, what soundtrack was that?
It came out on the Street Fighter soundtrack.
Right.
We went all around the planet, pitching, and no one hit it. I'm the first batter up them all. Well, then come with it. All around the planet, pitching, and no one hit it. I'm the first batter up them all. Well, then come with it. The nigga roll back, conk, but lock. Cause the vibe keeps me boxed and funked. Makes her rock to the side, gave it all I had. Just to have what I got, niggas trying to be bad. And they mad cause they not gonna defeat the rap.
And I cut in a little bit of the Saafir verse.
Intricated flow brackets, accented thyroidthermia, hypodermic. How I earn it, squeezing juices 100% concentrated on easing nooses around the necks of tricks. Probably won't get this thick body holly carburetor. I'm the unpriggish, well Gatlin breaded, well ill verse. My will is whole gung for the fortune. Can spell hearse with the same Adam family. Apple grapple hook crooked. Flyer I fly crooked for the crew.
No love for Kass?
I like it.
We talked about Kass.
He sounds like Will Smith, almost identical to Will Smith. It's great. I remember the Addams Family back in the 60s. when it used to be on TV. I wish they would integrate it and make it diverse with our people on there, African Americans. But other than that, it was a great show, and I could relate to what he was saying. Very soft tone, but very good.
Yeah, I had never heard this track, but always been a fan of Ahmad and Saafir. Kass, he's all right. I don't know, it's a little dry for me, like I was saying before. But I want to mention though that Ahmad, he, people know him mostly for that Back in the Day song. That was like his big hit, and that album that came out. But then he had this album called Death of Me, or the Death of Me, I think, that came out in 2010. And I just don't think a lot of people have heard that album, and I love that album. I think it's really great. I was never a huge fan of his first one, but the second album, his voice completely changed. Sounds like he smoked like 10,000 blunts, and you can hear his, like, he's like a Project Blowed affiliate, and you can hear his skills like on full display there. It's a really eclectic, good album that I highly recommend.
I need to check out that second Ahmad album because I've always liked Ahmad. I've got that first one right over here. But when you were talking about the billing, don't 100% quote me on this because I've read that it was a different lineup, but I think this was the beginning of what was supposed to be Golden State Warriors, which is what eventually became Exhibit, Kass, and Saafir. But I don't remember if I read this or if I'm just making this up, but I think Ahmad had something contractually where he couldn't be a part of that group. And then Exhibit started popping off, and so they kind of reshuffled, and eventually it became Golden State Project. But I believe this was the beginnings of Golden State Warriors.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he got kind of caught up with like Skilo, right? Didn't that single come out at like the same time? And they just like, I don't know. I think people kind of overlook some of his ability because of the pop hit. But yeah, I've always been a fan. I didn't know about the second album. I definitely want to check that out. And I love Saafir's on-beat, off-beat kind of staggered delivery on this. I'm a big Saafir fan. And I mean, yeah, it's a great
He's super
track.
talented. He has a good singing voice, a good rapping voice.
For sure.
Yeah, Saafir definitely deserves more attention. Next up, we got Sebutones, We Three Kings. This is after the intro, this is the first song on their album 50/50 Where It Counts. And I just think this is a crazy way to start an album.
We rob from the rich, rabid to the wretched. The Sebutones is what we are, not who we are. We three kings, shit-talking thin pricks, domestic affairs and book reports. There is no such thing as free will.
From a huge crowd of white folk, the Sebutones emergency images of crippled civilians and 50,000 galvanized Elvises. Avoid dilapidated raps like fried food because they angry up the blood and pus.
Yeah, so that's the duo is Buck65 and 6'2" from somewhere in Canada. Halifax, maybe? I'm not sure. But
I like it.
You like it? Yeah, what did you think of the times? The time signature on it is what I found really strange. Like, it seems like it's maybe 3 different time signatures on top of each other. The rhythm is crazy. What do you think, David?
It reminds me of punk rock music. I used to be in a punk rock band, and it has a punk rock taste to it that I like.
Yeah, it is definitely punk rock in a way, as far as being very different, countercurrent.
Yeah, it seemed to me like the beat was punched out live, maybe. Like I remember in that era, I didn't know how to use my equipment yet, and I knew how to make loops, but I couldn't figure out how to make a sequence, so I would just play stuff live. And it seems like it has that kind of like, that drum kick just keeps changing how many times it repeats, and then it kind of goes on and off. So I don't know, it felt like somebody's just hitting it as they were going. I mean, it's definitely, to me, that's like one of those properties of that early era, that backpack era rap. Has that real homemade quality to it, kind of a raw looseness. And I think those guys all buttoned it up, you know, going down the road quite a bit. But I think this is like something special from that era.
Yeah, the looseness of the pocket was definitely something I was going to comment on as well, because I didn't even think about it in terms of a time signature. I just kind of figured it was floating, you know, sort of like how Beverly was saying, just punch it out live, and if you get on a run, you know, then chase that, but then make sure you just hit that downbeat with the big bass, you know, and then just the stream of consciousness of the lyrics too. I dug. I just really, I'm learning how much I enjoy the openness of hip hop like this, you know, where it really bends convention and structure in terms of beats and lyricism.
Yeah, I think Buck 65 gets a little bit more raw, a little darker than he usually does on this track.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 6'2" was generally like a dark, serious rapper, so I think Buck had to kind of be a little more serious to match up with him. But yeah, this album, the whole album is pretty good, I think. It's definitely like the other beats on the album are nowhere near as weird as this one. And that's why I thought it was especially kind of audacious to start the album with that track in particular. But
I like that.
Yeah.
Are the other beats kind of unique within themselves still, or is that one just like
I mean,
the
they're
odd
unique.
duck of
To me, the
album?
timing on that one is just really weird because the hi-hat is nowhere near in time with the kick, the low drums things that started off, and then the rhymes don't sound like they're in time with either of those two things. And the first time I heard it, I was like, this is fucked up. Like I did not like it at all. And it never quite, like, it finally I got to the point where I liked it, but I still don't understand what's happening exactly.
Joni, you got to feel things out and listen to them several times, you know.
You're right.
And,
You're right.
And it's just like at first I didn't like goat cheese, and when I started eating it, I started enjoying it. First I didn't like okra, and then I started liking it with greens that my grandmother used to make. So you got to get used to something. You got to get used to the taste of something to understand it and like it.
True. An acquired taste. And yeah, this next group is maybe an acquired taste for some people, but I liked them as soon as I heard them. This album, what's the first album called? Ex-Military by Death Grips. The song is Tachyon.
6, 5, 4 times atomic penetration, rapid fire through your skull. Shot it on when taking it back to the days of trying to lose control. Swerving in a blaze of fire, racing through my bones. Oh shit, I'm feeling it. Takyon, hell yeah, fuck yeah, I feel like killing it. Takyon, alright, that's not what it's like to experience. Takyon. Out of the blue, into the bag, door coming through like fuck, what was that?
I like it, and the military, there's a lot of corruption that goes on in the military that isn't right. I took care of my cousin Phyllis McKinnon, who was a retired Army officer, and the minorities and the women had better ideas for the military than the white people that were running the military. So I could understand what the song is really trying to relate to.
Yeah, I was reading the lyrics for the first time, trying to actually figure out what he was saying. Death Grips is one of those groups where the fans are obsessive and they transcribe all the lyrics, and you can find all their theories about what everything means. But I feel like the essential meaning of this track is just like energy, like invincible, like this just concept of being like filled with some like lightning force, and it's just all about just energy and aggression from what I could tell.
Yeah, that I'm feeling it. I feel like killing it energy. That's funny though, because yeah, I'm a big fan of Death Grips as well, admittedly. Like, I stand that group. But I almost listen to MC Ride more like an instrument than I ever do seek out his lyrics. And then I just enjoy the little nuggets that I get out of his lyrics, you know, when something is comprehensible, then it's like, ooh, it's like a little secret, a little gift for me. But I have seen that fandom be super obsessive about his lyrics.
Yeah, I was looking up what tachyon means. It's some like theoretical particle. What did I? It's a hypothetical particle which moves faster than light.
Wow, it's kind of metaphysical. I like that.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it too. Like Chief said, I listened to like the voice as an instrument on that. It doesn't really, I guess, matter what the content is, but I was like, oh, what's tachyon? There's got to be more to it. And then I went through the lyrics too, and it seemed just kind of like a typical boasting rap. It's like I'm strong as hell, or like I'm faster than a bullet. Just kind of like that kind of stuff. The invincibility that you talked about. But I think, yeah, the delivery is really what makes it. It's like form to me on this one over content. And I was thinking about like how like it has that hardcore sensibility that's usually birthed like out of a regional scene, out of like DIY spaces or anarchist like clubs or something like that, like this kind of music. And I don't know what the origin story for them is, but it seemed to me like the context was the internet. Like it was this kind of crossover. It was like an era when blogging was still happening, I think, and like just seemed to like reach a much wider audience than I would expect. So I thought that was kind of, I don't know, an interesting shift of like, you look at like DC or something as like a spot to cultivate punk or hardcore, and then this like taking place in the internet with the internet as its context. And why did it, was it the cover? Was it just because it was I don't know, like the spectacle of it? I'm not sure, but yeah, I was curious about like why it became contagious, I guess. But I'm definitely a fan, but I think it's curious.
It is curious, yeah. I don't know why it took off so much, but they're very much an internet phenomenon. And they've been given like the royal internet treatment like none other, like every song of theirs has a million different remixes. I don't know if you guys know about the whole Caro Bonito Death Grips cult. No. It's like fans of both Death Grips and this group Caro Bonito, which is this like British J-pop influenced band, like this female band that's very just like the opposite of Death Grips. And somehow like the meme culture decided it's funny to pair the two of these up together because they're so different. And then there's this whole like genre of mashups based on those two groups, and all these, message board groups and everything dedicated to just those two groups together. And then there's like, speaking of all the remixes, I found one remix that I wanted to play. This is the same track, but every other beat is missing. That's the name of it. Takyon, but every other beat is missing. And I'm gonna just play
like
a little
the
bit of
black
that.
notes on the piano. You can't hear them like the white notes.
Yeah, something like that. And like as ridiculous as that is as a concept, the fact that someone just did that and that it has like 1 million views or whatever is great. But I think I really like that as a style of music. Like, yeah. I feel like I
do too. It's like a military sergeant having the control of the band. It's like a military sergeant.
Yeah.
That is the main control of the music.
Yeah, it's driving. It makes you want to march or something.
Or do exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the way that Dilla used to chop up soul samples. You know, just take out the empty space and like you kind of say, add that march element to it.
And this is something that like a computer application could learn how to do this to any song, and I just wish someone would develop that so you could just send any song through the every other beat is missing app. And I could see, you know, maybe in the future, instead of people like listening to music on shuffle play, you'll listen to a song on shuffle play or something, you know. I don't know. I could like, especially like songs that have like a good beat and shitty lyrics, you know, just chop them all up and make it so you can't tell what they're saying. I'd like to.
Make a good salad out of them. I like that military taste in there in rap music. I've never heard a military taste that's added. They get people controlled like puppets in the military. It's controlling the main sergeant. He's the main director. He's the main, as the Latinos would call the main poncho, the main manager, the main supervisor that follows everything in place. That's what I get out of it.
I agree. All right. Next up, we've got a song that oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to backtrack, just throw one thing in when we were talking about Death Grips and kind of them being embraced by the internet. Yeah. It almost felt too like they were kind of industry plants too, but like on some like, let's disrupt the industry type stuff. Like I always got really big KLF vibes from them. I don't know if y'all are familiar with KLF, but
yeah, KLF.
That's kind of what, like, they're infamously known for not showing up for live shows.
Oh yeah,
it's frustrating.
Yeah, they've definitely messed with the industry a lot in very subversive ways. And then the whole idea that they may be an industry plant, I've heard that theory, which seems probably a little far-fetched, but it's fun. You know, any band that gets insanely popular on the internet, you're gonna have all kinds of like conspiracy theories around it too.
And I guess it's kind of a loaded statement to call him an industry plant, because isn't that one dude, he was in Poison. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking about another band. I thought the one guy was from Poison the Well, but I think I'm thinking about a different band.
Yeah, Zach Hill was part of this band Hella that was pretty popular on the like underground art rock circuit, but I don't think they were ever like a very huge act. But yeah, who knows? They did. I mean, that it is one explanation for how they got so popular, because it is mysterious how they blew up from nothing, basically. Anyway, the next track I wanted to play just because I thought it was notable just how terrible it is. I've heard a lot of really bad rap songs, but this one may take the cake. This is Steve-O from Jackass. His song is called Crack Cocaine. Feels so good.
I ain't gonna lie about getting so hot. You don't even know, you should give it a try. I just smoke enough to make me act tough. Take away my lighter, I'll show you rough. It ain't so bad, it's actually pretty rad. Cooking up rocks just makes me feel glad.
I'll give some constructive criticism that he's a very talented person, but he needs to write about more positive things to get young people doing what's right.
Yes, I agree. He should be speaking about more positive things. I think the intro that we didn't hear just now is really what colored my opinion of how terrible of a rapper he is, because the rapping in the middle there it could be worse.
You need to be taught someone like you or someone like Eminem or some Cool Keith to educate him in being a better rapper. I like to see rapper teachers help rappers write better rap music.
Yeah, Steve-O's not necessarily a rapper, though. He's a talented guy, but he's not a songwriter.
Yeah, this was, I assume, just like another stunt for him, basically.
Yeah, Steve-O, if you're familiar with Jackass, David, that's where Steve-O is from. That MTV show from the 90s.
Yeah, I kind of like the chorus on this. Like, to me, that wasn't bad. It's kind of got like almost like a Cool Keith kind of chorus a little bit. But yeah, the rapping is pretty terrible.
Yeah, this song does not deserve the level of production that it has. Like, it actually sounds really clean, man.
Just needs to be taught how to do rap better.
Yeah, maybe. Take some rap lessons.
Got some talent there. You just need some training to rap better.
Yeah, practice makes perfect.
All right. Next up in the queue, we got R.A.P Ferreira, United Defenders of Goodwill from the Purple Moonlight Pages album.
Me and mine, you know we one fell stroke, no Goodwill code with the L in the hellhole. Shell toe, genie, blue meanie, a cosmology, Lucini, an odd policy. You startled me with all that thirstiness. Blind lemon, ice 9 melting. Helmet made of toothpicks starts rusting openly. Texas Hold'em with only me. Well, Horace Silver was there grinning, but not playing, praying, but not.
Yeah, great song from a great album. Definitely was one of my favorites of last year, the Purple Moonlight Pages album. And, you know, R.A.P Ferreira, I think he's an interesting lyricist because you can study his lyrics and get some things out of them. And then it's only to a certain point, though, because I think he purposefully obscures his lyrics to a point where you're not going to understand what he's talking about unless you're him. For example, like I went through these lyrics a little bit and, you know, in the first couple of stanzas, you got hip cat science. That was apparently because someone appended it. That was his uncle's nickname. And then
it's a cool name. I like it.
Yeah. And then also there's stuff I had to look up, like of course I was familiar with the word dingbat as an insult, but what it actually means originally is like the sort of fancy like scribble or those like decorative like scribbles that accompany font sometimes, if you know what I'm talking about. That's technically what a dingbat is. And then he goes on to reference wingding font, which if you're familiar with that, that's the kind of font that if you're typing, it just types a bunch of symbols. So it's like, you know, I think that kind of relates to how he's rapping in like obscure symbols a lot of the time to like please his own artistic sensibilities. But then, you know, you can also, I think, take away a lot from his lyrics and this album in particular. I felt like there was a theme that runs through this song and through that album, which is kind of about self-empowerment and self-esteem and being like a self-contained sort of vessel. There's some lyrics that relate to that, like need my own island to transmit from, admit one. And then
he's got a good range to his rapping. I like his range. It's like when we were driving through Utah, the different ranges of the Rocky Mountains, all at the foothills, all add to the one mountain. It's got a nice blend there. He's got a nice range to that song.
I agree. And I also like the line, the next one is Black Orpheus, nickel cadmium. And nickel cadmium is a rechargeable battery. So again, I think that's kind of relating to that whole kind of like self-sustaining.
Creative. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a note that I wrote as well. I wrote that he always has a great balance of scholarly, pop cultural, and obscure references in his music. It's like just a little game of hide and seek with the references.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is another new one for me. I'm definitely got my interest peaked. Gonna check out more. This is a really strong track.
Does anybody know who did the production? Did he do the production on this track as well?
That's Kenny Siegel and the band there's like a band that he sort of led, I believe, even though it's programmed music. I don't know exactly what the arrangement is, but I think it's, Kenny Siegel and some live instrument players together made all the tracks on this album. They're called Jefferson Park Boys is what they called themselves for this project.
The live band element makes it make sense then why it was so expressive and why it just kept kind of building on itself and evolving. It was a really lush production for sure.
Yeah, I really love like the beginning, the sparse when it's just drums, and then the middle part that we just heard where it gets into that really catchy melody. But yeah, it's a great progression. Next up, we got Black Eyed Peas, Fallin' Up, from their debut album. What was it called? Behind the Front.
Behind the Front.
Yeah.
To represent no set just so I could get some respect. Got. Cool. A lot of talent so I could get through. We're doing cause the way that you did it, I think you done corrupt the whole hip hop sound. So now we gotta follow up. We be falling up, never falling down. We keep it at a higher level, elevated ground. Whether in your area, city or your town, Black Eyed Peas is no forgetting down.
Definitely love the frog croak. That's probably my favorite part of that.
I love the music behind it. It's very creative and very bubbly. And I like the rap to it too. He delivers okay, and I love the bubbly ginger ale background.
It is bubbly.
Yeah, they had so much promise at this era. Not to pass any judgment on them currently, even though I am kind of throwing some shade at them. But it was nice. I was just gonna say it was nice to hear Apple D.A.P and Taboo actually rap on this song.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got shade to throw on these guys because people talk about how they sold out or whatever, like how they changed after their first and second album, but I feel like they were already sellouts from the start. Like this album, it's just biting De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, and the Roots really hard. Especially De La Soul, like you can hear the what track is that? It's Me, Myself, and I. They take the flow. Well, they reference the flow in this song specifically. Like they're not trying to bite it; they're referencing it. But at the same time, they're biting it, and they're using the whole De La Soul shtick even down to the game show skits on this album. And then there's all these like poppy songs, these like R&B schmaltzy poppy songs even on this first album. So I feel like they were just trying to go pop from the beginning, and then they just got better and better at doing just that. So that's my opinion.
You're probably right. I'm probably looking at the past through rose-colored glasses. I just was looking at them as a part of the group rather than like, hey, we like what those guys are doing and we're going to bite it directly, And then they just got blatant with it and it got really rough to defend them.
Shall we move on to Nnamdi?
Yeah.
No opinion on Black Eyed Peas, Bill?
I kind of felt like you, Chief. Like when I heard that single, I was super excited for them, and I was like, "God, this is it." Because the message, even though it's a little corny now, like it was exactly what I wanted to hear at the time. Like, keep it on the elevated ground, and like against the kind of materialism in rap. I was like all about that. And then I met this guy. I still remember this, just randomly on the street in Ann Arbor. Somehow we started talking about this. I was like, "Oh, did you hear that new group Black Eyed Peas?" And he's like, "Oh no, like cat's out of the bag. They're not what you think they are." He had an advance of the album and was like, they're like totally pop. They're in, they're biting and like all this stuff. And I was like, couldn't believe it. I was like, there's no way. Like I was so pumped for that video and that single. And then I got the album and I was disappointed. It wasn't consistent. And then, yeah, of course, they kind of went downhill even worse from there. But yeah, whatever. I guess they're doing their thing. If that's what they want to do.
You got to get that music training.
It'll be interesting to hear the Will.I.Am 2Mix collaboration album that's rumored to be in the works. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
All right, next up we got Nnamdi. This song is Let Go of My Ego off of the Drool album.
She sent my tears off his marquee, this goofy rapper Wooder. Nelly, she forced one on me, I call him lips as troopers. I'm reluctant, she wants something, I know I can't give her love. Slobber Donnie, duck the glover, thugger, young and sucking up the air. We catch the ferry, match that kitty, leave me to her. Back when we betting, getting naked in Kama Sutra. Shuffle past, shuffle back, huffing gas, muffin top. I know you spot that come and go.
It's kind of cloudy, but interesting.
Yeah, it's cloudy a bit. It's hard to make out a lot of the vocals, but I like it. I really like the vocal effects, really catchy melody. I like the shout out to Biz Markie, who did the Let Go My Ego song back on the I Need a Haircut album. And yeah, Nnamdi is really an interesting artist in general, so I highly recommend people check him out. I recommend specifically like some of his older works. Some of his newer stuff is going a little bit of a more like poppy direction. But again, I'm gonna keep checking for his stuff because he seems very unpredictable as far as what direction he's gonna go from album to album. So yeah, I mess with Nnamdi.
Yeah, this is another good find out of the list. I think I'm gonna have to integrate this into my DJ mixes for sure. This one is some nice weird rap club mix type stuff.
Yeah, I like kind of like what Chief said earlier about Death Grips is how I kind of listened to Nnamdi, especially when I first got into him. It was like the musicality of his voice. And then kind of like it took me a while to understand what was going on in this track. And it's, you know, I think it's a good like a creative approach on a sex track, relationship track. And I particularly like how he kind of makes the intangible physical, like the psychological, the emotional, and then their physical connection. So like the let go of my ego, the idea that you could hold an ego captive in some ways, and my heart in your hands, Buddha rub the belly, you know, those kinds of things. So there's like this kind of motif of the physical and then the psychological wrapped together. So yeah, he's great.
I was told that people can, when they let go of their own ego, they can become more creative and they can tap into other people and learn from other musicians and artists and let go of themselves. They can learn from others and make even better songs and better rap and better style by letting go of their ego. I like that.
True.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's a collaborative process often, you know, so it's enabled, you know, so you can collaborate. You have to kind of negotiate your own ego and interest, and hopefully two minds make something, some kind of third other that's more than the sum of their two parts.
Metaphysical. Very metaphysical.
Yeah, and the chorus, I think it's pretty interesting. I believe it's supposed to be a double meaning. He talks about rigor mortis after coitus, which is supposed to mean, I believe, like, I think he's talking about his dick, like, and his, like, you know, his energy, his ego or whatever, but the feeling of just like, you know, drifting away and, you know, and then the whole like Lego of my ego, it's pronounced, you know, it's spelled ego in the title, but it's pronounced ego in the song. And I think maybe ego is supposed to be the double meaning of, as well as an ego, like the ego waffle that pops up when you get a boner, and ostensibly the woman in the song wants to ingest. There you go.
He could also be waffling about his feelings with her versus the passion he feels.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah, pardon that horrible pun there.
Good creativity there.
All right, I think we're down to the last track of the evening. It is Themselves featuring Y. The song is Rapping for Money off of the Free Houdini mixtape.
If it ain't dick to make, I'll rock my fake batch of syphilis, which is strictly for pity. But boy, it ain't pretty, the faux rash on my breastplate. I'd ask if this pays, but upper class and rich say broach no cash on a mixtape. It's Goshen that shows distaste. My good tongue displaced and replaced by a hood one like men and mices in these times of economic crisis.
And a little bit of the Dose 1 verse too.
Wow.
This is for them young man lyrical parts who volley aimless and anxious between unwell women and works with a less than rented a merc and an ant on their shirt. Ain't nothing perf except for death, vertex and pre-Cambrian earth, but that depends. Why wouldn't it on the caliber of your brands and whether you're guarding lightly in the feeding the man? Wicked sing songs not for profits like all but locust honey long walking of God is.
Wow. I think he's got a lot of creativity going on there, and he delivers okay. And it's a creative rap song. It's creative.
Yeah, it's a catchy song sonically, and Dose One's lyrics are always a little bit cryptic to me, but Y's are a little bit easier to understand. I think they're both basically just doing some smart guy battle rap. Oh yeah, it's also about like rapping not for profits.
It reminds me of street musicians that are trying to get over and make it, bring out the best they can to get those tips.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the song plays with the idea of like, we're doing this song just for art's sake, not for money. And then they second guess that conceit by saying, or is it, or are we? I forget how they put it literally, but it's basically like, we're not rapping for money, or are we? Because this is on a mixtape that was free when it came out. That's like kind of part of the theme, I think. And then they turned around and sold it a few months later. I think it's dealing a little bit with the idea of doing art for art's sake, but you're also selling it at the same time, and the kind of conflict there.
Everybody's got to make money to keep their bills paid.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of something that most artists have to face at some point. And I liked how there's this line that Y says, the song's not for profits like all but locust honey, long walking, and God is. Like, and locust honey, I had to look that up, but it's this like rare kind of honey that is not.
They talk about it in the Bible.
Well, they talk about locusts. They talk about locust honey in the Bible.
They talk about wild honey in there because the guy that followed Jesus lived off of wild honey, and honey's good. It's better for you than Jonah. You're a vegan. Honey's more healthier than sugar. Sugar is poison.
Yeah, I'm not that strict of a vegan. I'll eat honey, but yeah, this locust
it's good
honey.
In tea. It's better than sugar.
Yeah. Locust honey is supposedly like this, it's really hard to harvest, so it's not like financially viable to sell it. And then, and then long walks are not for profits, and God is not for profits is saying. And then they kind of flip those references around in the chorus where it says, I ain't rapping for money, locusts, God, and honey. So it's like, I think in that instance, the locusts are like the whack MCs, and again, rap, I don't know what the God part means, but honey I think is flipped to mean like the like sex and material wealth or whatever that can be gained from.
It ties in with almost the corruption of organized religion. Some churches are there to bless and help people. Other churches are capitalists that just want to use it for making money, which is wrong.
Right. Well, these dudes are kind of well-known atheists, so I think this may be like an anti-spiritual sort of a sentiment when they mention God in there, but I don't know.
Well, religions used to worship the aliens. They used to worship the kings before they got into this believing in God. Saying Jesus says the God is within you. The Egyptians teach that the inners and the Palladians teach that your real God is your inside of who you are and what you can accomplish, and people look up to gods.
I like that interpretation.
Yeah. I dig. I've always loved the combination of gel and dose. They just are both really dynamic in their own right, and then when they come together, it's even on a track like this, it's kind of reserved. You can still feel like the bubbling under sort of pressure, or not pressure, but you know what I'm saying, like that there's more to it behind it than just what you're hearing. It kind of feels like there's some weight and some frustration.
Very metaphysical.
Yeah, metaphysical is a good way to put it. It's doing more than just what it's doing sonically for you.
Yeah, Dose has always been one of my favorites, even though I can almost never wrap my head around what he's saying. It's still just like sonically speaks to me. Actually, David, you made a song with the guy that made that beat, the guy that made the music. He did the music for the fruit song.
Grape juice, it gives me a boost. OJ is okay with me too. Not from concentration, but squeezed directly. Only natural juice. You are what you eat. You are what you drink.
Oh wow, that song's metaphysical too. You are what you eat. You are what you think. That's metaphysical. The lyrics I wrote to that, it is telling people that what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. We are what we think. We are what we do. We are what we eat. And I had a talented music teacher named Bill Provost. He says, when you rule your mind, you rule your world. Everything is consciousness. Everything is thought. And that's metaphysical, what the Egyptians teach, the Egyptian Book of the Dead.
All right. Zach, any final thoughts?
Oh, no, I think that was a good way to end it. That's perfect.
I enjoyed doing the show with you all guys, and I hope we can work together again on future rap shows. I enjoyed myself.
Thank you for being here, David.
You got it.
I really enjoyed your insight, David, and what you had to say.
Thank you very much. I hope we can get it together and do it again. I really enjoyed supporting you, Jonah Motion.
Always a pleasure, David. You should get to those fishes, right? They need your.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say goodbye. I want to wish everybody the best. Keep on rapping. Keep on learning. Keep on growing. Keep on trying to improve the craft. Don't give up. Know that your success, like Doris Day told me, know your success in action. You're a winner, not a loser. Don't let anybody discourage you. Believe in your talent. Your talent will believe in you, and you will win. That's what I tell you, rappers. Keep it up. Keep up the good talent. Keep up the good doing. Keep up the good music and the good beat.
That's awesome. Sir. Thanks so much.
Don't give up on your dreams. Well, I'm going to say goodbye because I got to take care of my fish.
Okay.
But I enjoyed being with you all. Take care. Take care. Bye.
Oh, for our patrons, you get to hear the after hours talk. The rest of you freeloaders, goodbye.
Yes, at patreon.com/weirdrap, you can pay $3 a month to be privy to our present, past, and future after hours discussions. You will also get the monthly bonus podcast. For just $5 a month, you can join the Weird Rap discussion gang. You can watch the discussions live, and you can interact via text. We'll read and respond to your messages, and we'll send you some Weird Rap stickers. That's at patreon.com/weirdrap.